Alright everybody, welcome back to Red Zone Ramblin'. I'm Kyle Osser.
Mr. Buttersworth.
Mr. Buttersworth. They are getting more and more out of hand each week.
Oh, bro.
Way more out of hand. You need to rein it in, my friend.
Have you seen Mrs. Buttersworth?
I mean, I have.
Exactly.
Have you tasted Mrs. Buttersworth?
Every day.
Ooh.
Every day.
That's what I call my sugar mama. Fun fact. So, National Championship was Monday.
I guess.
That's a fact. Wait, you guess?
I mean, you already knew who the national champion was, but alright.
Oh, you're talking about UCF?
Co-national championship with Alabama.
Yeah. When's that game getting played?
Who knows?
But I think that would be an interesting matchup, honestly.
It would be. UCF is incredibly fast.
Oh, very. It's insane.
You saw what speed did. Sony Michelle, so.
Oh yeah, and I wanted to kind of talk about my thoughts briefly on the game and.
Well, you know what? We don't want to hear him, so let's.
Okay, so next segment. No, I'm gonna give it to you whether you want it or not.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's one of those.
All right.
So you can feel how you want about it. I think Kirby Smart got outcoached in this game, and I think it's pretty obvious, given the fact that Nick Saban made like a very ballsy move in pulling Jalen Hurts at halftime and putting in Tagovailoa, if that is how you pronounce his name. I'm sure I'll butcher that.
Tagovailoa.
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 Bro, it's tongue. He can't watch the video of him pronouncing it. Tongo. He says tongue like your
Well, it's
tongue.
probably Togo then, but it's still Togavalia.
The point is, it's pronounced Tagovailoa.
It's not tongue. Tongue.
Bro, he said tongue. He said tongue like the tongue.
He has a Hawaiian accent.
Bro, he said tongue over. He said tongue like your mouth. Anyway, so no need to split hairs over his name. He ended up coming in and doing a phenomenal job. It was ridiculous to see a true freshman come in there with really no experience in big games at all and perform in the national spotlight like that. And I've said this before on the podcast, and I really think this game emphasized my point even further, is good coaches make very common sense and simple decisions. That's what they do. That's what the best coaches do. That's what Nick Saban does best. That's what Bill Belichick does best. And if you look, their body of work speaks for themselves. So if me and you are sitting around shooting the bull at halftime, we're like, dang, Jalen Hurts needs to come out. Like, they need to pull Jalen Hurts. But we know like that's not a realistic thing in a national championship for any other coach but Nick Saban.
They were talking about pulling him when they played Clemson too. They've been talking about it for the past 3 weeks. I wasn't surprised by that at all.
I was surprised by that. In a national championship that you completely go with a guy who has shown you zero in the regular season.
He has. He came in a couple games and in a couple games and he throwing well, but they've known all year that Tua's a much better passer. Like Nick Saban even says it straight up. He says Tua's a better passer. He said that at halftime too. And he was talking about that he might do it during the Clemson game and 3 weeks before that. So I wasn't surprised. Jalen Hurts had 21 passing yards in the first half. I would be shocked if he didn't do it. I wasn't shocked at all. Especially because people were saying that he might even get a start for the past 2 weeks over Jalen Hurts.
To say that you're not shocked is, I don't know. Could you? I think it's hindsight.
I would have been more shocked if he didn't. If he listened to what he said at halftime and Jalen Hurts literally had 21 passing yards at half, I would have been shocked if he did not. Then you could have said that they would have lost the championship because of Nick Saban.
How many times?
If he didn't switch them out, they would have, because Jalen Hurts literally did nothing.
Look, if anyone's going to do it, I think it's going to be Nick Saban who does it. My point is, it was a very unorthodox call, like to take your starter out who you've been with all season, and then you put a guy who hasn't shown you much.
Not when you listen to the way he's talked about Tua. He openly says he's a much better passer.
Okay, I'm saying take Nick Saban, where we're forgetting that it's Nick Saban. Like, as a whole, this is a shocking move for anyone to pull your starter at halftime in the national championship.
I don't think so, because if it wasn't any other coach, if he didn't do it, if it was Nick Saban regardless or not, and the game kept going the way it was with them not being able to pass all, they would have lost, and then we would have shocked. We would have been.
No one would have faulted anyone else.
Everyone would have been upper about the coach. When you have a guy who's labeled as the #1 quarterback recruit in America, and you come in.
He was #1 dual threat. That's what he was.
That's the dual threat. The dual threat label is so dumb. It's ridiculous. Everyone, even with that, just because he had some rushing yards, he was still considered the best passer passing college group, the most pure natural talent. It was I forget who they said like during the halftime, but they were talking about all the like the scouts and stuff. They said he's the best pure natural passing talent they've seen in decades. Like the guy can just straight up throw the ball, and he is. They call him a dual threat because he's young, he's athletic, he can run too. But if you had someone, if you have that on your bench the whole year, and they've been considering it all year whether or not to do it, and then you get a guy who obviously is not going to do it in the national championship game against an amazing defense, and obviously Kirby Smart game planned amazingly for Jalen Hurts because they contained nothing. That's what I'm saying. So if you get any coach, regardless of it, and he doesn't make that move, then we would all be ridiculing him. We'd all be shocked that he didn't do it. Because at that rate, Jalen Hurts would have had 40 yards passing the entire game.
I mean,
when you have the best, considered the best passer that you've had in decades on the bench, that makes no sense.
I still think it's a shock because if he was that much better and we knew that he was a better passer and offered them a better opportunity to win ball games in the past, we would have seen him before now.
They didn't do it earlier because Jalen Hurts has just been there. Like, he's been consistent. He hasn't made enough. He hasn't hindered the team enough for them to put into it.
Right,
he's been the guy. He's 25-2. Yeah,
we've seen him come from behind before. We've seen Jalen Hurts come.
But in that game, it was obvious that he wasn't going to grind his way through that game because they were getting nowhere passing, and the only way Alabama was going to beat Georgia was through the air. They were not going to beat him on the ground. They proved that.
Yes, that's
what Jalen Hurts brought to you.
Like I said, this was a simple decision. This was when me and you were looking at this. It's a simple decision.
I'm saying that's why it would have been shocking if he didn't do it. I think it's opposite. I think it was just the thing to do. I think this should happen.
No, I think you're assuming that the rest of coaches in college football or even coaches
I'm
in
not saying
general
they would have. I'm saying if they didn't, everyone would have been uproar that he didn't.
I don't agree with that. But my point is, Kirby Smart got outcoached. I don't
agree with that at all. How did Kirby Smart get outcoached?
Look, this is what I'm saying. Listen,
Nick Saban brought him to it at halftime. They didn't game plan for it.
Just listen.
That makes no sense.
So I don't follow him for the defensive side of the ball because, like you said, you game plan the entire time for Jalen Hurts, and you do a phenomenal job on defense of shutting down the Alabama offense. I mean, you're winning what 20 to 7 at the half. At half?
No, 16-3, something like that.
They were winning by like 13 points or something like that. The point is they were winning. They were handling the game, and it was clear that Georgia was going to kind of be the victor in this if you were looking at it at halftime. So, what I do think was a lack of adjustment on, or a little bit of, I don't know if you would call it stubbornness, I just don't know if he saw it or what he was looking at, is when you line up Nick Chubb 18 times for 25 yards and start pounding the rock up the middle when Sony Michel has a hot hand. Okay? It was clear Sony Michel had the hot hand and he was the weakness. Alabama does not defend well against a little bit quicker backs that can get to the edge. Their strength is in the middle of a defense where you're not going to run right through them. But he continued to hand Nick Chubb the ball, especially late in the game, which was I was completely shocked that he did that. He didn't give Sony Michel the ball enough. He ended the game with 14 carries for 98 yards. That's what Sony Michel's stats ended with.
Yeah, the carries were there, but Sony Michel had a lot of quick passes later in the game. It wasn't like he cut Michel out completely. And a lot of that was them trying to run out clock with a grinder in Chubb.
But look,
it wasn't that he was stubborn in that. It was that Alabama's defense played out of their mind in the second half. Alabama's defense got shredded on third down in the first half. Jake Fromm's stats on third down were incredible. Alabama's defense was playing well first and second down, but on third down they couldn't get off the field. Look, Alabama's defense could not get off the field on the third down. In the second half, the defense played incredibly well, and they had a lot of 3-and-outs in the second half. Georgia did.
You're contradicting yourself when you say that. Everybody would be mad. We would be in an uproar if he didn't pull Jalen Hurts at half. But then again, you're going to say, oh, he was just trying to run Chubb when clearly Sony Michel gives you a better option.
No, you're saying he cut him out. He didn't completely cut out Michel. Michel had less carries, but he was still getting the ball in his hands because he had quick passes.
Look, when Nick Chubb is giving you less than 2 yards
in the second half is that the defense was playing better in the second half, and they keyed in on Michel. If you look at his runs he had on the second half, he wasn't getting the yards they were getting. The whole defense for Alabama played better in the second half. When they tried those runs with Michel again in the third quarter, they weren't working, is what I'm telling you. Because the defense played so much better in the second half.
No, you're wrong about that. You're wrong. You're completely wrong that Sony Michel did not get off in the second half because he did have some good runs.
I know he had good runs, but I'm saying he did not have the chunks. He did not have the third down plays they did in the first half.
So you're saying Nick Chubb still gave you the better option. That was a good coaching call to keep Nick Chubb in and to keep pounding him through the middle of the defense.
That's what I'm saying. Every team does that in the fourth quarter when guys have been playing.
That's the problem.
No, I'm saying when guys have been playing that long and you have a bruiser, that's what you do. You run Nick Chubb when you're trying to run balls, when you're trying to run time off the clock, and when Michelle was not getting off like he was in the first half because Alabama saw it.
Look, if you
even the commentators like keyed in on that when when Georgia came out on those quick huddles. When they came out on a quick snap, they knew what the play was going to be. It was going to be outside of Michelle. And in the first half, that was working. The second half, the defense knew that when they came out quick on a quick snap, they were trying to get it quick outside of Michelle, and they were getting lost yards, they were getting 2 yards. It wasn't working. Like, Alabama's defense played insane in the second half.
I'm not taking away from Alabama's defense. I'm just saying.
I don't see how that was Kirby Smart getting out coached when the other opposing team played to an elite level in the second half. It wasn't Kirby Smart.
If you're already
out coached.
So if you're already averaging less than 2 yards a carry with Nick Chubb, you decide to what do you lose?
Because the defense changed their game plan.
But what do you lose? What do you lose by putting Sonny Michel in there?
3 and outs. They're getting 3 and outs is what I'm telling you.
Well, Nick Chubb is not giving you any profit at this point. He is not doing anything for your offense at this point. Nothing. So what do you lose by giving Sonny Michel, who has been the better back the entire game, more carries? What do you lose? That's bad coaching. That would be not making adjustments, doing the same thing the whole game when Alabama did make adjustments. That is bad coaching.